guys, welcome back to Goodbye Greens. Today we are going to be making a stuffed chicken. Now these are chicken breasts that I'm going to be using with kind of a Mediterranean type of stuffing. I rarely ever use chicken breast, but when you're stuffing chicken, you kind of need something. Chicken thighs are kind of piecey. I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but basically you kind of have like various pieces of the chicken that were previously wrapped around a joint and stuff like that, and so you can't really stuff it very easily. So what we have is our chicken breast. Now this is almost 1.5 pounds of chicken breast, and what we're going to do is kind of pound these out so that they're slightly more even. You're really only going to be pounding out one side of the chicken so that it's even and then it cooks evenly. And then for the actual stuffing, we're going to throw all these ingredients into a food processor and just kind of pulse it until it comes together and it's kind of broken the ingredients down a little bit, but you don't want it to be a paste. You still want it to kind of have some substance. So we have some olives. This is just a handful of olives. You can definitely rinse these underneath some water if you are kind of worried about the salt. And then we have some sun-dried tomatoes. There's going to be about 1/3 cup of these. A few cloves of fresh garlic and some parsley. And then we're going to do, for the outside of the chicken, we have some salt and pepper. You don't want to add salt into the stuffing mixture, and the reason for that is because there's already going to be plenty of salt just from the olives, and then even a tiny little bit sometimes from the sun-dried tomatoes. So you don't want to add additional salt because it's going to be way too salty. And then we're going to use some olive oil both on the outside to help the salt and pepper kind of stick, and also just about 1 tablespoon or so on the for the stuffing. And then this is up to you. I'm a really big fan of pine nuts, mostly just to kind of sprinkle over salads and stuff, but if you want to throw in a few pine nuts into the stuffing, you can definitely do that. If you're afraid because of the fact that they're kind of more crunchy and you don't want that on the inside with the rest of the stuffing that's more of similar type of textures, you can definitely just kind of sprinkle this on top. It's sort of up to you, or you can leave it off altogether. Okay, so the first thing we can do is just add a tiny bit of oil. You're going to add right around 1 tablespoon. And then you can add some black pepper, probably only about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon at the very most. Probably closer to about 1/4 teaspoon. And the reason that I add these things in first is because I can see how much I'm adding. You can certainly break out a measuring spoon and stuff like that, but this way I can actually see how much I'm adding. So now we're going to add the sun-dried tomatoes, the garlic, and the parsley. And then our olives. And then I'm going to add in just a small handful, probably only about 1 tablespoon or 2 of the pine nuts, because I really like pine nuts. And then for this, we're not just going to let it run. We're just going to pulse it until it becomes kind of a single, stuffing, but you also don't want it to be, super like smooth or like a paste or anything like that. You still want to be able to see the sun-dried tomato chunks and the olive and everything like that. Okay, so that was only about 8 to 10 pulses, and as you can see, let me show you, it's definitely still, easily, you can easily see the parsley and the garlic and, the sun-dried tomatoes and stuff. So it's a nice stuffing consistency, but it's not going to be just like a random dark paste where everyone's like, what is in here? So next, what we're going to do is flatten out the chicken breast. Alright, so the main things that you need for flattening out a chicken breast, I use a big like freezer Ziploc type bag. The reason for that is so I don't get chicken stuff everywhere, and you need to be careful with chicken just from the salmonella type stuff. It needs to be cooked all the way through, and you want to make sure you don't get chicken juices everywhere, especially if you have kids and stuff that touch counters and touch their mouths. And then you need one of these meat pounder things. We're going to be using the flat side. So is what you can do You can do one at a time. You just want to put the chicken in, I can show you, it's actually probably easier right now, where this part is definitely a lot thinner and flatter than this side. So all we're going to be doing is pounding out the top part, almost just so that it's even. So you can place one in. I'll show you how to do the first one, and then you're just going to do the same thing with the rest of them. But you just kind of want to focus in the center. Don't focus on the edges because you're going to end up it's almost gonna like peel the chicken off of the actual chicken breast, and then it's gonna look like you have all these you know, random pieces coming out. So you just wanna start in the center. And then chicken actually doesn't take that much pounding with the meat pounder. You can just kind of, you can kind of feel, and I'll take it out and kind of show you. So it's a lot more even of a piece now. And now that when you stuff it, it's going to, you know, cook evenly, and you're going to be able to spread the stuffing out evenly. So I am going to finish with the rest of these pieces and then toss this thing in the trash and put this thing straight into the dishwasher. All right, so now that we have our chicken ready, we can actually just drizzle a little bit of olive oil into the bottom of a pan. And now I usually like using a pan that is not gonna crowd the chicken, but you also don't want it to be, I usually don't like putting it on a baking sheet just because I like it to kind of stay moist and stuff. And you need to do as much as you possibly can to keep some of the fat and some of the, you know, flavor in chicken breast, just because it doesn't have a ton. So what I usually find is the easiest way to do this is I will season the outside of the chicken first, then cut a hole, like a pocket, using a small paring knife in the chicken, stuff it, and then place it straight into the dish. So I can drizzle a little bit of olive oil on one of the pieces, and then season with some pepper and some salt. And the reason I do this part first is because right now my hands are clean. So, and then I will kind of rub all of the olive oil and salt and pepper all over the first one, and then kind of use that extra olive oil to season the other two. Okay, so you need to be very careful because it is obviously a very sharp knife, and you don't want to accidentally like jam the tip right into your finger. But what I usually do is put my hand on the top and kind of use that as a guide for cutting underneath to stuff the actual chicken. Now, because these chicken breasts are flat, you don't have a ton of space to cut. You have, I mean, these chicken breasts are probably pounded out to between 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. So you just need to be really careful. Worst case, if it tears a little bit, it's not the end of the world. So you kind of want to get closer to eye level so that you can see what you're doing. And you are just going to make a slice. Start at one end and work towards the other way. You're going to make a slice in and just kind of carefully move the knife through. And now you don't need to cut all the way in, just cut through the first piece, and then you can expose what the inside is right here. So now you can kind of use this as a further guide and just kind of keep cutting till you almost get to the other side of the chicken. You don't want to cut all the way through. So once you do that, then you can move on to the next one. And what you're basically doing is just creating little mini pockets. And then you can take this and you kind of want to evenly disperse it between all of them. So what I do, I usually just will take a spoonful or two, kind of put it right underneath, and then just kind of use my hands to spread it around. And then once you have all of the stuffing into the chicken, you can kind of press it to almost kind of seal it, and then place it right into your baking dish. And then now, if you have any extra of the kind of stuffing, just take the blade out so that you don't accidentally cut yourself. You can just use your hands and take the rest. There's just, I don't know, a tablespoon or two, and you can kind of just crumble it almost over the top. Then you can wash your hands, give it one more quick, glug of olive oil, and then you are going to pop it into a 375-degree oven for about 30 to 35 minutes. The biggest thing you want to do is check to make sure it's fully cooked through and that the chicken breast is registering 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Then you know everything's cooked through and it's ready to serve. This is the perfect make-ahead meal. You can make the stuffing in advance and then just stuff the chicken right before you're gonna cook it. You can even have everything kind of ready to go and just pop it in the oven about 30 or 40 minutes before you want to eat. So I will see you guys next week. Bye.